Howdy, howdy. Welcome to Oregon Fishing Show. Well, for this episode, we're down in Coos Bay taking a tour of a working tugboat. I was really impressed how big it was inside and how immaculate everything was. The engine room looked like it was brand new. This was a boat built in the 50s. It had quite a bit of room for the crew. It had a dining area, and then down below there was a sleeping area with 4 bunks and just a huge uh, area inside. This event was sponsored by the Coos Historical and Maritime Museum, and along with that, they had the authors of a new book, Old Pilot, written by Captain Steve and Jeannie Woods, who we're going to go up and talk to right now. And we just toured the tugboat, and we're talking to Steve and Jeannie Woods, Captain Woods, and they have a new book called Old Pilot. And they're going to talk about that and some experiences crossing the bars here on Coos Bay, but also in Winchester Bay and here in Oregon. Okay, tell us about what your experience as a pilot captain.
Well, I've been as a pilot. I started piloting in 1986 here in Coos Bay. I started my training, and previous to that, I had been a tugboat captain. I started my career in 1972 on the pilot boat Coos Bay, which you just took the tour on.
Oh, awesome! Oh, cool!
And painting and scraping and learning the trade. Then I worked out of Alaska for a long time, or out of Seattle, but mostly up in Alaska as towing barges.
Oh, yeah.
And then after I'd been captain for about 6 years, I'd come home and I was towing barges out of the Umpqua.
Oh.
I towed most of the gravel down for a lot of the road out there on the North Spit. I used to tow a lot of the gravel barges down here from the Umpqua to Coos Bay, and then the empties back up, and I did that for about 3 summers.
Wow.
So I've got a lot of experience on the Umpqua besides Coos Bay, and also we take care of Yaquina Bay as well as far as the deep draft ships. I do have pilotage for the Umpqua, and but we don't get much traffic up there any longer.
No. So, tell us your most memorable experience, or maybe scariest experience crossing one of those bars.
I'm sort of at a loss for words on that one.
Too many.
I guess one of the ones that really come to mind is when I'd taken one of the U.S. tankers out of Coos Bay, and I'd gone down to the bar and I checked the entrance, and I could have taken a skiff out across the bar and gone around the sea buoy and come back in without a problem. I ordered up the lines, I got aboard the ship, and 2 hours later I was almost down to Charleston, and I heard the Coast Guard call the pilot boat and asked them if they were thinking of proceeding across the bar, and the tug captain came back to him and told him, "No, I think I'm going to stay right where I'm at." And I said, "Well, what do you see down there, Gus?" And he says, "It's breaking as far out as the sea buoy from what I can see." And I took that ship out. It was drawing 25 feet of water, and when we were out past number 3 buoy, we came within 5 feet of the bottom. And when we got out to the sea buoy, we took a break that hit the bow, and it washed halfway back to the wheelhouse.
Oh my goodness.
And once we got across the bar and outside, well then I ended up down in Benicia, California before we got to the dock there, and I got off there. We weren't able to make it into Eureka, and so we just kept going until we got to San Francisco Bay. So that was the worst one I had here in Coos Bay, because it was a complete surprise.
How could that happen in 2 hours?
Well, the swell was out there, it just hadn't got here yet. And these days you have the weather buoys that you can access. You have, and it was a nice day. There wasn't any wind. It was just a big swell.
Oh my goodness!
And on the Umpqua, I had one where it was a pretty good swell working, but I had an empty going up to the Umpqua. And when I got close, what I'd do is I'd start out from the sea buoy and I'd idle in. And as I'm idling, I'm waiting for the big set to come through, because I time the set's coming up, and you figure it's not something that always happens, but it's sort of a rule of thumb. Every 20 minutes you get a big set. Well, as I was going in, I would watch and just go slow until the big set came through, and then I'd figure I got 20 minutes to get there before I got something dumping on me.
Yeah.
If it didn't happen before I got to number 2 buoy, well, then I would swing around
Okay.
and make another turn, because
Yeah.
you could always go south of number 2 and you're
Yeah.
in pretty good water.
Yeah.
And I saw a big set had gone through and it had broke, and it was just nothing but water smoke up ahead. So I poured the coal to it, and then behind me another big set came, and I was right in between these 2 sets with this empty barge. And
Oh no.
my father was up on the bluff watching, and after I got in, he says, "Boy, you timed it just right, because after that last break, after you got in," he says, "it's never stopped breaking."
Oh my goodness.
So
Whoa.
that was one of those lucky situations.
What advice could you give to fishermen like Julie and I that fish out of there? Well, either bar, but our home is Winchester Bay, but we come here a lot. What advice can you give us for the bar?
No, watch the set, as far as the current
Yeah.
on the end, and watch the fog in the summertime, because
Yeah.
that's probably your biggest danger,
Yes.
to get out there and have this fog roll in.
Yes.
Have good navigation equipment,
Yeah.
and make sure your boat's maintained.
Yeah.
That's and with the weather buoys and the weather that's available online now,
Yes.
just pay attention.
Yeah. So when we come in, if we were out tuna fishing, just Julie and I and Sprocket, our dog, last summer, and we came in and it was fogged in. We couldn't see anything when we came in. But I always go to the buoys and I kind of circle, make sure I'm in the right position, that my electronics are telling me what's there before we try to go across.
I guess the other thing I can say is you want to do whatever you can to do to support the Umpqua River Lighthouse, to make sure that
Right.
lighthouse
Good
keeps
idea.
working.
Yeah, good idea. I like that. That's a good idea.
I did
yes.
notice that the Cape Arago
Yes.
Lighthouse, it doesn't have an oscillating light any longer, but they've got a really, really bright white light up there now. It's
Oh,
a
great.
steady white, but at least it's better than nothing.
Better than nothing, yeah.
But it'd be a real shame to lose that Umpqua River
Yeah.
Lighthouse.
Yes. So, Jeannie, do you go out with him? Do you go out on the boats?
I've been on the ships, but
Okay.
and the tugboats crossing the bar, but that's it.
Do you get nervous
You know.
when you go out?
I've been seasick before.
Yeah. That's so. What's it like being a wife of a captain that's in danger often?
Right. Well, you don't think about the dangerous part of it mostly, but it's lonesome.
Yeah.
He's gone, and so
Yeah.
you have to stay home and write research for your own book, and then
Yeah, that's
when he
awesome.
comes home, he gives you the technical
Well, we're all
side
benefit
of
for
it.
that. Well, thank you. Well, thank you.
Well, that's it for this episode. I want to thank Captain Stephen Woods and Jeannie Woods for their interview and for the book they've published, Old Pilot. It's a great historical sketch of the Coos Bay Bar pilots. There's a link below in the show notes. Well, we'll see you next time, and over and out for now.